And then the one time I actually did break it, and then I was like, oh, I don't like this. I'll just let it ride out. I don't give a
Yeah.
shit. It was kind of funny. It's kind of crazy. A little wild.
All right, boom.
What's up?
We're here. We're back. Yeah, you gotta like put the leg
little
towards
jank.
you. Yeah, you gotta like put one of the legs like so it's towards you, and
I'm gonna hold it the whole time.
they're not balanced very well. We're here.
So what's up?
Nothing much. Same old. Not much has happened since last week. Been about the same.
Yeah,
Same.
the calendar looks pretty empty, so I figured you were about the same.
Yeah, just catching up on these edits. Where I'm still just like now that like Logan, the rest of the team just got back from on tour. So now we're just like catching up and like figuring out what's good with the new year. But I mean, yeah, it's work wise, it's about the same, and yeah, pretty much the same journey, just dealing with all the same stuff. Nothing super eventful this week.
Yeah, it's kind of the same for me. I went and saw the Chainsaw Man movie on Sunday night.
That's like the anime.
Yeah.
But there's a movie.
Yeah, they just dropped a movie, which is like
like live action or
no, it's anime. The first season came out a couple years ago, and it was cool.
I feel like I watched like 1 or 2 episodes of it.
I would assume you have. It was one of the more popular ones that kind of came out. There was another show that came out around the same time, and people like watched both of them. It wasn't Demon Slayer. If it comes to me, I'll mention it, but I don't remember it right now. It's cool. It's one of those like you would probably enjoy just like passively watching it. The animation style I never liked. They mix a lot of 2D with 3D, and I don't like when they do heavy CG in anime. It just throws me off personally. I'm like a 2D Andy when it comes to anime, but it's an entertaining premise where there's like it's called Chainsaw Man, but it's about like devils and stuff.
Okay, yeah. So I did watch some of it. That sounds familiar. Yeah.
Yeah, and you follow the main character Denji, and then he becomes Chainsaw Man without going into spoilers or whatever. And then so the first season dropped a little while ago. I think it was 12 episodes, and then season 2 is supposed to be coming out soon, I think. And they dropped a movie, something Rize. I don't remember exactly what it's called, but it covers like I guess it's a little arc between what season 1 and season 2 are gonna be. I don't know where it falls in the manga. I'm not really up to date with it, but the movie was cool. I thought there was it was a little lackluster in some spots, but I didn't really know what I was getting into when I went into watching it, other than the very bare minimum. I like it was like it leaned into like romance more than action for a lot of it, and I thought that was cool. I'm kind of a sucker for that stuff. But then I don't know, it kind of felt it left me like feeling like it was lackluster in part of it. I'm not gonna get into spoilers in case anybody wants to watch it. It literally just came out. I went to the theater with some friends.
Honestly, yeah. I think I saw your location because I came. Yeah, because I stopped at your house for something. I was grabbing something, and like all the lights are on, and I walked there, and your computer was on, and like a stream was on, but you weren't in there, and I was like, Leland? And then I checked your location, and you were like not at the house, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, I left a little earlier than when the movie. I went up to my friend's house and I was hanging with them, and then we went up to the movie theater. So that was cool. I leave the lights on for the cats, even though they're nocturnal, and I also like leaving the lights on if I'm not home. Like in certain, like if I go to work, I'll leave the lights are off. Doesn't matter. But like if it's like nighttime and I'm like in and out a little bit, I'll leave some of the lights on. It kind of gives the illusion that someone's around.
It's like I always picture like in Home Alone, the kid like has little lights on and does like the fake people but
With the TV
windows.
and stuff there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then if I turn my computer on, I don't turn it off until I go to bed. So it's just on, and whatever was happening happened. Sometimes I have DaVinci open. I never leave a game open though, but DaVinci might be open. Nothing might be open. If I was probably watching a live stream's gonna be open. But it was cool. I enjoyed it. I didn't really do anything else other than work a couple shifts. Yeah, it was a pretty boring week.
Yeah,
Boring week.
I'm trying to
Church
think,
was cool though. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, that was good.
It was a good wrap up.
End of the Revelation series, and then yeah, I'm trying to think. I actually went and saw our grandparents. Yeah, I always like mean to go stop and see them, but like with it's nice actually like having a schedule and being like Sunday's my off day. So like we got out of church. I was gonna go right at the church, but then I went to mom's house and just fell asleep on her couch. But I woke up and it was like 5, and I was like, wow, like what do I do? So I walked down there and I went and saw them because I just wanted to update Grandpa because I'm was starting to build his website for him. Um, so I walked down there, caught up with them, and then yeah, just like walked, did a lap around town, and then went back to the house. Um, but yeah, just trying to enjoy that like day off, and I'm realizing like having a schedule. It's like wow, like weeks feel so much longer. Just like even thinking like wow, today's Tuesday. Like I feel like it's been so long since we went to church, and it was literally Sunday. And I've just been waking up earlier. Like now, I'm realizing how much I have a lot less anxiety when I'm like waking up earlier and like going to sleep earlier, like a normal person. Versus I've been pretty good with it the last like 2 weeks, but then one day I was here super late, so I woke up super late, and that whole next day I was like, why do I just have like anxiety and like I just don't feel good? And I was like, it's definitely something. I was like, wow, I've just been living like this of like waking up at like 3 p.m. and staying up till like 6 a.m. And
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
that is not. I'm realizing yeah, that's not the way to do it.
Yeah, I felt that way for a long time now. Actually, 'cause I've always had a tough time. Me and sleep never got along. I have a tough time going to sleep and have a tough time waking up. But when I'm asleep, I'm asleep. Um, and then I've always been like more of a I guess a night owl than a morning person. I hate waking up. Um, but then like for me personally, video games always kept me up late because I would always play late with the guys, especially on like weekends and stuff, or like during summer for school, or like during COVID when nobody was working, everybody was just up really late. And so like my problem is I stay up too late, so I wake up late.
Yeah, I mean that's yeah. I mean
I
that's
hate
why
that.
I like I would say I'm more of a morning person, but I stopped being one because I would just be up so late, like whether I was editing or doing stuff. But like kind of being stern on the schedule, and then kind of like yeah, since I've been kind of like detaching from like this being my whole identity, it's like easier to like come in and just force myself to like I'm gonna get this stuff done because I'm trying to leave at this time.
Mhm.
And then I started switching and going to the gym at night. So it's nice to have this like I have to leave at this time or the gym's gonna be closed. Versus I used to go to the gym in the morning and then it's like I in theory I can be here indefinitely because there's nothing kind of like forcing myself to leave at that time. And then like just waking up early, which yeah, I've never really had as long as I don't go to sleep super late, I've never really had a problem waking up early. Um it is really nice like having the balance because like I know oh if I get up I'm not like panic rushing to get here to work on something. So that's been nice. But yeah, just kind of try to balance it out and get used to it.
Yeah, I wanted to switch my whole schedule. It just never works out for me because of where everything falls in line. I think as of more recently, things at least during the week, things kind of fall in line a little bit better. I'm just like 11:30 or midnight hits, and then I just become a zombie for a while, and then I like doom scroll for too much, which I really should just get rid of Instagram for a while and kind of reset myself there. But like with the friends that I have now, they all during the week they all get off at like 10, so like I should just follow suit. But generally, what ends up happening is like today Tuesdays it happens a lot is I'll come here, we'll record, and then when I get home, usually they're all home from work, so they're all starting to get on. So we'll play for a while, and then when they get off, I have to edit this. So then I'll edit, and then by then it's like midnight, and then I want to like zone out for a while, but I should go to sleep. So like it all just kind of like bunches up towards the end.
Yeah, I kind of yeah. I mean, I found like right now, like my I try to be asleep by 1 because if I'm asleep by 1, I'm just basing it off of Whoop. What it tells me, if I go to sleep at 1, usually I can wake up like 8. I usually try to get up at like 8, and then usually I'm like up out of bed like 8:30. Um, but yeah, like my for like that I like that attachment. I kind of mix it with I have like 30 minutes. Like after I leave here, I'm usually up for like 30-ish minutes because I'll um like right as I park my car, I'll either like start watching a movie on my phone. I don't do anything. I find it easier to kind of with the detach. Like I don't use social media at night. Um, I just like I just like I'll watch like a movie or something. I don't really even use YouTube. It's just like Netflix or HBO. And I'll just like start a movie on and doing it on my phone versus like on a computer because I don't even have a computer at the house. Just everything's here. So I'll just put something on my phone and then that way like I could brush my teeth, do all this, even shower, put the phone, just kind of like get that little bit of detachment while doing the stuff leading up, and then I just lay in bed and just fall asleep with it on my phone. Versus like having it on a computer and kind of being like, when this is done, then I'll initiate these things and
Yeah, it's pretty smart.
yeah, and then just kind of like I don't even have to like force myself to not use social media anymore, but like initially like forcing like doing like a TV show or a movie versus social media, I found helps to not get like as much as like even last night I was watching I was finishing the Peacemaker, I was catching up on the episodes, and like I definitely stayed up to like 2 because I watched an extra episode, but I find it way easier to like either turn it off or just fall asleep. Like I don't think you could fall asleep scrolling reels versus if you keep watching a show, you could lay down and try to fall asleep while it's on. Definitely easier than like scrolling trying to fall asleep.
Yeah, I've never been able to fall asleep with the TV or anything on. I have to have everything off.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
See, I've always been like there. I used to be like everything off, but like I'm kind of like yeah indifferent now, whether it's on or off.
yeah. My brain just like stays like focused to whatever it is, whether it's like music or a TV show or a movie or social media or whatever. I do though like sleeping with my fan on. Obviously for like if it's hot for the fan, but then the light white noise of the fan like drowns everything else out. Um, but usually like kind of like we were talking about last week where um you like remove all distractions. I have lots of distractions in my life just like throughout the day, and when I turn them all off and I lay down, then my brain is like on overdrive. So like now I'm going through like I have like 4 hours of thoughts to get through before I can even fall asleep. What does help though, um, sometimes I'll get out of bed and I'll like do like 45 push-ups or whatever, and I'll stretch a bit. I really like stretch it, like leg stretches, like toe touches and stuff. That's that helpful.
You're saying like waking up?
No,
Or
no,
no?
no.
Oh, going to sleep.
Laying in
Okay,
bed trying
okay,
to go to
going.
sleep.
Okay.
It'll be like 45 minutes, and I'm like wired. But the other one that helps even more so, well, there's three. It's that one, and then reading, like reading a
I was
book.
gonna suggest reading because if I can't fall asleep a few times, I like because I've tried to read before bed and I always like get so drowsy reading. So now I'll do if I'm trying to fall asleep, I'll just try to start reading something and
So I did that one for a while, but reading's always tough for me. And then the one that works the absolute best, like I'm sure it helps with a lot of people, but like for me specifically it helps because I have 4 hours of fucking shit to process, is writing. Whether it's writing pen and paper or the notes app on my phone, I'll just like write whatever that the thought is, and then by the end of it I can put it down and I can lay down, and generally I'll fall asleep within 15 minutes after that. And I should probably do that more often, but I try to, like, the rule that I made for myself, which kind of is counterproductive to that one, is when I lay in bed and I turn my phone like off, I refuse to pick it up because I get sucked back into it. And I also don't like I don't know if phones are blue lights, but the blue light on to my face and my eyes.
yeah, you're supposed to like say to not have be like any screens for like 30 minutes before you go to sleep.
Yeah, but reading's a good one. I mean, grandma suggests that all the time. Reading's just hard for me. That's why I asked you where you listen to the Bible, because I want to get through it at least one time, like cover to cover. And I always kind of get lost in the sauce of reading because as much as I would like to be a reader, an avid reader, my brain is like a squirrel, and I'm like, ooh, let me go and look at something else. So like listening to it will help. And I think if I listen to it through one time, I can go back and read it easier. But then I have a lot of time to kill now, more time to kill than I did previously. And previously I had nothing to do. So all of my time I could do whatever I wanted with. But like I picked up hours at the liquor store so I could pay bills and stuff. And there's a lot of like, I just walk around. If I'm not ringing up customers, which they never scheduled me to ring up customers, thank God. I hate doing that. But it's like I'm on the floor, I'll help customers or whatever, doing stuff in the cooler. But then Mondays, they have me on specifically to make space in like the storage room or whatever, for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday when all the deliveries come in. So I'm only on for like 4 hours on Mondays. But I'll just sit there and then it's just I'm listening to live stream or I'm listening to music, and like it kind of gets repetitive and boring. And live stream just destroys my phone. It like melts the battery. So I figured I'll just listen to the Bible to get through the Bible ones because there is a lot of it like seeing clips online and of these like hyper knowledge like knowledgeable guys who just know who could just pull
Like
out.
I think it's called like the theology, like people
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
whatever. Yeah,
yeah.
that yeah, you could just cite.
I love
There's
that.
like Johnny Chang's really
Yeah,
good
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Cliff's really good like that, where they can just cite. Yeah,
So I want to like kind of get through it, and there's parts of it like that I know, and then there's parts of it that I feel like are true, but I don't know. So I want to get through it.
so yeah, I have a like my journey of the Bible is like it was like in different stages, and it's like it's like mirroring exactly kind of like when I first started reading the Bible was even before I was like had any sort of like relationship or any like sort of belief in God. I just because I was with Law and she was very Christian and very like she's very educated on the Bible. Like not to the point that she can just but like I'll now when I just talk about something she'll be like, oh, that didn't feel like Philip, like oh that's in John, like she'll remember where it's from. I mean, I always thought that was cool. And then I just when I first wanted to read it, I was I remember she got me a Bible and I was like, I just want to read this just purely out of like this book has withstanded the test
Yeah,
of
you
time
said
more than
this.
any other book. So it was like I just got to know what's in it. And then and then it became sort of where you're at right now, where it's like I want to read it from front to back because that's how books are read. And I remember when I started doing that, Law would repeatedly say, she's like, you're taking on a noble task. Like most people do not read the Bible that way. It's like very, and I was always like, but like why would I read it out of order? And then I started reading it from beginning from Genesis and was like, I'm just gonna read it through. That is a noble task. I will tell you that now because I attempted that. I attempted to listen to it, and it's because like it's Old Testament, which is like I'd say like a good like 70% of the Bible because it's 66 books. It's like the Old Testament is like a large chunk of it, and I probably got through 30% of the Old Testament, and it's like the first book, Genesis, is great because it's Adam and Eve. It's like the beginning, and everybody knows Adam and Eve, so it's like you hear that and you're like related to it. But then it gets into Moses and stuff, and it gets to like more of like the territory as like somebody who didn't grow up around it. Like I don't know anything, and it really is just like history. It's not even like it gets super like
See, but I like that. Like I
yeah
like the history stuff.
you
so
might like it more.
I started
Yeah.
with Genesis. I'm just gonna go in
Yeah,
order.
yeah, I would start. Yeah, just I mean, yeah, because I started with Genesis and I read Genesis a couple times because I'd read it for a good period of time and then I would stop reading it for a little. Um, hold on, let me just text Logan to let him know. But yeah, so I started with Genesis and I read that and I got to like it's Genesis. I forget the order, but I got to like halfway through and there's the chapter called Numbers. And it is just a lot of like there's whole sections that'll just be like when you'll get to the point where you learn about the tabernacle. It's like the building they built, and it's just literally like a whole chapter is just like, and they built the wall out of this material. It was this feet by this feet, and then the left side is this feet, but and they'll be like it's a square, but they'll tell you the exact size, and you're like
Dimensions.
they're all the same. You could have just said all the walls, but. And then I sort of like because of that, I sort of lost interest in doing it, and then I stopped reading it for like a couple months. It's 5 minutes. And then, but Laura always told me read the Gospels first. That's what I texted you: the Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, because that's like where it introduces Jesus, and like that you'll hear like Cliff and all them say just read. Everyone just references read the Gospels, because it is like in the Old Testament it sort of like lays out like God's rules, and then Jesus comes back and he kind of refines them because like he'll cite back like this thing, but at the end of the day, it's more so like in the Old Testament they say like you're supposed to like you're supposed to be with one woman this, and then Jesus comes in and he's like yeah, but anybody who even like thinks of another woman, like even if you just think, you're committing, and that's so he kind of refines it. But yeah, it definitely is more like I switched, so I stopped at Numbers and then I started reading from the Gospels, and now I'm reading from just in order from I started at Matthew. I'm like halfway through Matthew. And I like it because like I was telling you, it's a firsthand. They're all Matthew, Mark, Luke. They're all four people that were firsthand with them. And that's where it sort of switched to I know this thing. Oh, Jesus walked on water, but like I want to, like you said, I want to read it because there's probably stuff I know, but like I don't fully believe as much as I would like want to believe, and like I have faith. It's like even like I was telling, I was like, I like the whole resurrection, like Jesus coming back to life. Like I would had a hard time, like even I still do, kind of like fully believing that. And it's like I believe it, but like not just hearing it without. I want to read, like read on page. Like I want to read these things that it's citing, so I can really like understand it. And as you read it more, it definitely becomes like easier to have faith and believe that it happened when you actually read the things. Like even Adam and Eve, it's like everybody knows Adam and Eve, they ate the apple, but then when you read it in a book, it's like something that makes it more like solidified.
Yeah, I also would want to get through it cover to cover because even before I like stepped heavily into like the Christian faith, which I'm fully 100% on board with, specifically through like going to church a lot, and then a lot of like what they call like Christian TikTok is what people call it. Um, but there's a lot of like personal beliefs that I've held for like my entire life. Um, and I feel like I came to a lot of the conclusion just by like using logic and like out of like degrees of respect or degrees of like what's righteous, what's correct, what's like morally good, what people might say. And I my understanding is that a lot of what the beliefs that I've come to are like stated in different sections of the Bible. And I have a good one. I'll give you an example in a second, but I want to get through the Bible so that I can like almost reaffirm myself. And like the the example that I can jump to immediately, which is like one of the big ones, people who are, I wouldn't say like anti-Bible, anti-Christian, but I would say they're like hyper skeptical about, or they're trying to argue against, is when people bring up like the death penalty for things, and it's like, oh well, you're a Christian, how can you believe in taking a life? And I completely forgot when I had been reading it, literally in Genesis 9, and I know that off the top of my head because I listened to it yesterday, and I had to pause the audiobook and like talk to myself like I fucking knew it, blah blah blah. Like I've heard people say this before, but I believe that in more cases than not, the death penalty is like just in various ways. Um, and in Genesis 9, God literally states that, I'm going to paraphrase because I don't remember the exact wording, but it's like if the life of man is taken by another man, that man's life will be taken by man. So that's literally explaining the death penalty. If you kill somebody, you receiving the death penalty is not like an anti-biblical thing. You know what I mean? Because God Himself states that if you, as a man, took the life of another man, your life is forfeit by man. So going through the Bible and seeing what else kind of comes up is very intriguing to me, and obviously it's like a little fulfilling internally because like I think I'm kind of like a funny guy when it comes to my beliefs in like modern times, um, because I think that, I mean, I have a lot of personal downfalls. I want to say the downfalls, but I don't know. I have the lack of term here. Like internally, there's like a lot of things that I still like sin about, or sin with, and a lot of it's like hyper personal and stuff that I don't even like. Nobody really knows about. Blah blah. I keep to myself, but I've always tried my absolute best to be like on the right path. And it wasn't because I was like a religious person, and it wasn't because of this, and it wasn't because of that. It was like to my core, I've always felt certain ways. Just the best way I could describe it is randomly, like through my entire life. And like as I had different life experiences, I like I felt more secure in those beliefs. And like interacting with people would sometimes make me feel a little insecure about them, or like maybe I was wrong to do things. Like I can give you another example. Um, but I think for the most part, I'm not trying to like boast or like sound better than anybody, but I think that like how I hold how I hold within my own beliefs and my belief system is like is very like righteous, and it like follows the right path, and it's like it's very good oriented. And like another one, like one that I hold to my heart, and I was talking to grandma about it actually the last time I was at her house, is like has to do with faithfulness and like being in a relationship and all these things, like obviously biologically speaking, as a man, you're like biologically compelled to want to procreate with as many women as possible. You want to like sleep around, you want to like, bang chicks and blah blah blah. And like I'd be lying if I said that I didn't have those like wants and temptations throughout my life, like even now and I'm sure throughout my future. But like I've for many many years I've been hell bent, like almost uncomfortably so, that I hold very closely to my core being hyper faithful and like only really like entertaining for the one, or like everybody's got their soulmate out there, for lack of better terms. And like I started to like really notice it after my last relationship, without like going into hyper details with stuff. But because during the relationship, I was much younger than I am now. So like with hormones and like puberty and all this stuff, it's like you want to go and you want to like talk to girls and you want to have sex with girls, blah blah blah. But through the relationship and then afterwards, when I was doing a lot of self-reflecting, a little too much to be honest, I kind of fully came to the realization that I'm perfectly content, even though I have those moments of like doubt. I'm perfectly content with never entertaining another relationship again if it doesn't perfectly align with my beliefs in like faith and
Yeah, and
infidelity.
everything. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
crazy, and like that's kind of part of the reason why I want to get through the Bible more and more. And like I think a lot of my life, aside from like the handful of things where I do sin, because I'm a human, I'm not. Um, I think my life and my beliefs and the way that I do my absolute best to live my life lines very much up with how Jesus lived his life. And I take a lot of I use this word very very gingerly. I take a lot of pride in that, and I understand that like pride is
probably
followed
yeah.
by
So, but
downfall,
yeah, but
but
you should. I mean, you should like you should want to live how Jesus does. So I don't think there's necessarily like pride, for the lack of a better term. But yeah, it's not wrong to get like it's different to be like yeah, for lack of a better term, to take just be happy with yourself that you are living in a way that does align with that.
and
Yeah, I
and,
don't think.
and just to the icing on the cake of that, I've like that kind of came to me naturally before my Christian journey, and like a little bit at the end of my pre-spiritual journey, and then it kind of grew heavily through my spiritual journey. But I've always been very much like this, and I think it's like very beautiful. It's like, as much as like I get frustrated in traffic or whatever, someone cuts you off or whatever. um it goes back to like when I say like watching people pursue their passions, or like watching people take on challenges and like fail and try again and fail and try again until they get it. Like I love that stuff. And I didn't start being like this, and I didn't choose to be like this because I wanted to be like this, or and I didn't choose to be like this or start doing things like this and living my life like this because I wanted to be like Christ, or I wanted to be more of a godly man, or whatever, whatever. It just was like it came naturally to me. Like in conversations with my old friend Dave, he was very big on like channeling higher beings and stuff. I would do this thing like unintentionally where it was almost like I was channeling like higher beings or whatever, whether it was like I was channeling Jesus directly to my soul and having out loud conversations with him through me. um Kind of like word salad, just kind of getting lost in my sauce there. But um it's something that I hold like very dear to my heart. like I have a tough time when people don't take accountability. I have a tough time when people like just start like coping and try to push blame off on other people. I have a tough time with infidelity. I have a tough like all of these things that I see as like major sins. Like, and I'm not gonna judge anybody if if you're gonna like sleep around or whatever, or you do wrong or bad. It's like I'm not gonna judge you, and I'm not gonna like try and force anything upon you. Like in my friend group, I think that I don't know for certain, and I've refused to bring it up for personal reasons. But I think that for sure one or two of the people are like like anti-religious. And it's like, whatever. And I'm very much like the opposite of that. And that's one of the reasons why we don't have these kind of conversations, because I don't want it to like sour our friendship. Um, but I've always been willing to meet them where they're at. And if, they're not on board with even like listening to it and they want to XYZ in like sin or whatever, in my opinion, in my eyes, I don't care. Like, you can live your life. I'm not going to tell you to live it differently. But if you come to me like in question, in concern and curiosity, now I'm fully open to expressing. It's a viewpoint. That's a viewpoint of mine on that is very much about myself. I'm not going to go around and just like open up to people and just like tell people my story and all these things. But if you ask, I'll tell you everything. I'm an open book. Like, there's very little that I keep to myself if it's prompted upon me to share. Like, if you're interested, I'll tell you everything. Like, I don't really care. Um, so it's something that I've like in my Christian path now. I'm finding a lot of like a calm within myself, and like it feels good, and like I have so many conversations. I have even more conversations now so than I ever had, and I had a lot of conversations with God and with Jesus in the past. I have more of them now, and over like the last probably 2 weeks, it's probably been more the last week heavily, but probably the last 2 weeks with things that I've seen and stumbled upon online. Um, I'm kind of finding a way to process unprocessable stuff, in my opinion. And I forget who said it. Some one of these guys that talks about the gospel and stuff a lot. But somebody was like asked a question about or maybe it wasn't a question. The guy was talking something about how, oh, okay, yeah, it was a dude. He was talking about how he was in a relationship and the girl he was with was breaking up with him, and she was essentially like, "You are 80% of what I want in a man. You're just missing 20%." Essentially, is what it broke down to. And he expressed that he had a conversation with her following this because he wanted to understand a little bit more. Um, and he didn't really. My takeaway was he didn't really get exactly what he was looking for out of that conversation, but the takeaway he had was through that, and then through some of his personal processing and like the journey he took in specifically his Christianity, he realized that he, much like myself, I related to what this guy said very, very heavily. And like I think about it daily right now. He feels like he has like never encountered somebody who loves as strongly and as deeply as he loves. And he felt like lost in the world. And the point he got around to was the love that he has and he gives to others is the love that like Jesus gave for humanity. And he put his faith and his love hyper into like Jesus. And him explaining that, I watched like 2 or 3 times back to back just because I had to listen to it over and over again because it like struck a chord. Um, and it like bleeds into me now where I'm making the effort to shift because that's how I feel. I feel heavily, like strongly, that I've never encountered anybody who loves as deeply as I do another person, a thing, like regardless. And it hurts me when I interact with people who like I care deeply about you. I love you more than XYZ yada yada yada. And you don't show it, you don't say it, you don't prove it, nothing. It's like you're like, "Oh, you're my whole world," but on a scale of 1 to 10, it's like a 6. And I say the same thing, and on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm like a 12. And it hurts that it's not reciprocal. So like my shift now is putting all of my hyper love into Jesus himself and just going to move through the world with that understanding and that mindset. And as the world unfolds around me and life flows through me, um, I feel very confident and I have a lot of faith in, you know, I will receive that which I give. Um, and I guess that's really about it. I've always been very, very strong in my faith. Like you stated that the whole resurrection was like hard for you to process, for lack of better terms. I completely understand that, but for me personally, like when I heard that he was resurrected, I almost didn't. Even to this day, I still don't doubt that. Like I never did. As hard as it is to comprehend, like dude got crucified, put into a cave, for lack of better terms, sealed up by a giant stone, and then he was back. Like that's crazy. Fully believe it. I've never in my life have I not believed it 100%, and that goes with all things. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean the final point you made where you're talking about how you've always felt like like you loved harder and it would almost upset you because you expect like didn't like I feel you and the my example like or like answer to that is just sort of unrelated to like the love, but from what I found is a lot of times like it's easy to look at that and like almost go turn negative and be like, oh well, I'll never find this, like oh like why would I be putting this and not to find. But what I've recently come to like terms with is we don't, God doesn't put us in the doesn't like move us to the next stage or put us in the position, doesn't give you that person who will love you correctly. Even if you love people, you every person you meet, every relationship you're in, you give that love because there's still something in you that you need to learn. And if you like if before whatever that thing is, if you would have got the person who would have loved you the right way, it it wouldn't have worked or something would have gone wrong because you weren't prepared for it. The example that comes to my mind is I just listened to this sermon the other day. Law sent it to me about rest, like taking rest and how important, like why the Sabbath is important, and how just to give context of it, how we're like the Sabbath is supposed to be holy. God made the world everything in 6 days and rested on the seventh day. He made man on the sixth day. So man's first introduction to the world, the first day was seeing God on a rest day. Our first full day was God's rest. So we were introduced to the world on a rest day, and how important it is to rest. And like say he made humans on the first day, we would have just seen God work, 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 and not and seen how important rest was. And it kind of yeah. And in the sermon, it opened my eyes to the viewpoint I got out of it, and he even said it in the sermon was so like I that related to me because I've been in the sermon he referenced a lot like the typical like the mindset everyone has now, the grind set mind, like gotta work hard, I'm not gonna sleep, I'm not gonna no days off, I'm gonna go go go, and like I've lived by that for like almost 10 years now. And it like in it you go to like why am I not, you get frustrated of like why am I not at where I'm at, especially as like having a faith with God. It's like I'm putting all this work in, like why am I not in this place I want to be, or like earning more. You see people who aren't doing as much work and they're further, and the mindset that it sort of set into me was had God's almost looking at it as like because like rest we're just going off the point of rest is important. You need the balance. You work for 6 days and you're supposed to rest. It's not work for 7 and keep working because you need that rest day. And he's not like God, I can't get to my next blessing or where the next place God wants to put me until I learn this principle. As much as am I doing everything right, God's looking down as you're dying. You're dying with you have 20% of the blessings and what I want to give you, and you're killing yourself because you're not resting. How are you going to handle 100% if you can't rest with only 20%? So until you learn this principle, I can't move you to the next stage. And I think that goes with everything. So like, I'm sure you can somehow relate it to like, I love somebody, but there's something, whether it is like, you can't love, like you love, like until you can learn to love Jesus. Like if he would have served you the person who would love you the same way you would love, and it would be 100% both ways, you might have never had room to find love and build that relationship with Jesus. And it was like if you would have built it with that person first, you would have been happy in love and never been put in the place to build this relationship with Jesus. So you got to do this thing first to then be able to unlock, and like you have to go through it. And like I learned that with just that rest thing of like, oh wow, like that makes sense to me of like I definitely like I'm damn near killing myself staying up and I'm only 20% or 10% of how far I want to go. And it's like, oh, I can't balance it with this little amount. How am I going to balance it with this big amount? So it's like there's always like a principle that's how I've started looking at like if something's going wrong or something's not right, it's like there's just something I still need, like there's something I need to learn to move to the next stage, or there's some God's waiting for me to learn or trying to show me to then move to the next stage. and like having that sort of shift has like made everything like I don't know, made things a lot easier. And like, yeah, I think like you said, putting that love, because it kind of goes to my point of like the whole journey I've had with ego. It's like ego's wrong because it's you're trying to get validation from man. You're not trying to get like I just ran into this dude I know at the gym yesterday, and he literally said it. He was like, because I was briefly talking to him about this, how like I've been like trying to deal with ego and like kind of step back, and he was like, in this journey of like business and stuff, we get so lost in trying to get validation from the creation, from humans, and not from the creator. So it's like, I can't move you further because you're just trying to get validation from the creations, not from the creator. Um, yeah, so it was like that right there was like, oh damn, yeah, like I have like the whole ego thing isn't built on anything besides trying to prove to humans that I matter. It's like I shouldn't care, like, not like I shouldn't care what people think. I should care how God views and how I'm living for that, not for them. Um, but then to circle back to the earlier point where you were talking about with like the death penalty, for example. I pulled up the thing in Genesis 9:6. It's whoever sheds human blood, by humans shall their blood be shed. And then even and when you get to Exodus too, it talks about it. It says in Exodus 21:12, anyone who strikes a person with a fatal blow is to be put out to death. Which again, like it's kind of like it lays out rules and that's Old Testament, and then New Testament, because I just read this. I just read this in Matthew because I'm going through Matthew. It's like Jesus comes back, and it's like, because if you read the Gospels, Jesus, it doesn't counteract like not killing people. Like, from my knowledge, he doesn't like directly, like, obviously you aren't supposed to kill people, obviously, but like Jesus' whole thing is like, oh, like you should forgive. Like the passage I just read today, I forget. I want to say Matthew 19, I think. He's like, he says, somebody asked Jesus, he's like, how many times should I forgive? Like, if somebody wrongs me 7 times, like how many times should I forgive him? And Jesus says, like, you should forgive him 70 times 7. Like, you should just indefinitely forgive them. I mean, always give people more chances. So it's like the kind of like the back and forth. Um, but yeah, like when you asked me about the audiobooks, like the Bible app and then the Bible chat app, the other one, I like that one. I don't listen to it on that one, but that one has like a chat feature where like I like it for those, for like when I have questions like that. Like to get those verses, I literally just in it said, what does the Bible say about the death penalty? And it pulls up. It says the Bible addresses the concept of capital punishment in several passages. Cites the Genesis one, cites the Exodus one. However, in Matthew, like it's like, so it's good for that kind of thing. So like I like listening on the Bible app, but I'll go to the other one if I just like that. If I'm like, what does God think about, like, what does the Bible say about this thing? And it'll just like, even when I was dealing with the ego, I was like, what does the Bible say with dealing with ego? And that's where I got one of my favorite passages, Philippians, I think it's 2:3. It's it says, don't be selfish. And basically it says, to paraphrase, it says like, don't be selfish, view other people as better than you. You should live like, and basically to like always like treat others and yeah, like don't have this ego and put yourself above everybody. You should live as if care for other people more than you care for yourself. Um, yeah, so I mean, I like the Bible chat for that, for like as you're going through it, and then sort of what you're saying with like listening to the Bible, you have to pause it and like kind of think on stuff. I found now when I first was trying to read the Bible, I was just like reading it like a book. I was just like go read as much as I can until I stopped. Now I find myself as I'm reading the New Testament, I'm literally reading like one chapter, like half a page a day, because I'm reading it and really like line by line, like reading it and really like thinking of it. And my new thing I've been doing is obviously you're listening to it, it's a little different. Big on highlighting in the Bible. Highlight it, highlight. I've been putting note tags on the book and everything so I can go back again. Yeah, just to, yeah, because like it does help to like be able to go back and just reread and like to remember these important things that like, because there's like it's like an infinite source of knowledge. That's what it's always been said. And it's like to think I can even comprehend an infinite source of knowledge is insane. So like highlighting it to remember stuff, and then I've been as like I'll read, like today I read Matthew 19. I'll read it, I'll highlight stuff, I'll reread it, and then when I'm done reading it, I have a journal. I've been kind of journaling my thoughts. I'll read for like 20 minutes, and then I'll spend 10 minutes like, all right, in Matthew, he said this line. I'll write the verse down, the number, so it helps me remember what verse it is, what chapter and what verse or what passage. And then I'll sort of like jot down a little paragraph about like my thoughts on it to really like kind of let it sink
Oh,
in.
that's pretty smart.
Yeah, sort of like taking note, like literally reading, as I feel like I'm back in school because I'm reading and then I'm actively taking notes and like really to help like
Well, that's what a lot of people who study the Bible say to do.
yeah, because it helps not only just read it but then kind of contextualize it to like my life and like my sort of like
It helps you as individually
yeah and
process it.
connect with it yeah. But yeah, I swear by that. And then I mean yeah, because like obviously like you said like reading just isn't like your thing. So listening to I would do that for I still do it. I'll just listen to passages and when you go back and you end up reading it, it is like it's familiar. Like oh I know that and you're reading it. It's easier to like digest. Yeah. And it's just like trying to consume it as much as possible. And then like I've switched over like I only now really besides like movies like the only YouTube videos I watch are Christian people like talking about the Bible and different verses, and I've gotten big into sermons because they really like just break stuff down and help contextualize it, and just hearing other people's like views on it.
Yeah, I really appreciate like all things that have to do with it. The people that talk about it and explain it and like share their stories and like their experiences and stuff and like because like going back to again to myself throughout my life and how I just like view myself and view humanity and like the position that I hold within myself with how I tackle the world for lack of better terms and like as much as I there's hatred in my heart for things, there is as much tenfold love for everything and the amount of compassion that I witness in within myself. I allow myself to like get out my frustrations to myself with myself, but I try my absolute best not to allow them to um, materialize in the the physical and like to then have any kind of effect on myself and those around me. Um, it's like part of the reason why I don't. I mean, I've always seen myself as lesser than pretty much everybody in many different ways. Even though I'll walk around and like talk about how I'm the best person in the world and blah blah blah. Like you got to talk yourself up sometimes. Um, but to my core, I'm actually really humble. Not to try and like self brag or whatever. Like, see, I have a tough time talking about stuff like this because in me explaining it, it sounds like I'm not being humble.
Yeah, I mean, I have a tough time even now more and more as I get because I adamantly try not to like take any praise like every day and more as like I try to separate the ego from stuff. And like yeah, it's just like I mean, I think it's different when you're having like this, when you're having a conversation about it versus just like going around being like,
And
dude,
talking
I'm
to
so
people.
humble, like just like versus just like, actually being in a conversation just discussing the topic. But I mean, yeah, even like I try to even catch myself from like when we finish a video and the artist is like, "Bro, you're so amazing." Like I try to swerve it away from like I'm just like I even said to one of the artists I sent a rough cutout and he was like, "Dude, it's like a blessing to work with you." And I was like, "I'm just using the tools I've been given." Like it's like trying to like not but yeah, I get what you're saying. It's like you're trying to like explain it because like I try to pride like I pride myself on being very humble. Um, but yeah, I think like yeah, in conversation like this, I think it's
Yeah, in conversations like this, it's fine. My struggle becomes when there's some degree of an observation on the conversation I'm having. Whether it's I'm talking to a bunch of people, somebody I don't know, or like people who are listening to this might be like, oh, he said this, this, and this, and like he's he's saying it for XYZ reasons or whatever, whatever, and like a little bit of yes, but like 99% no. Um, but yeah, in conversations like that's why I love having conversations with Danny because Danny's pretty knowledgeable with the Bible and with Christianity and like talking to him's really good and like the few conversations I've had with law and like as I kind of go through this journey, the more people that I witness because I don't really talk to a lot of people and a lot of the people around me aren't like religious or Christian oriented, um, for own personal reasons, I guess. So like a lot of it's just to myself, or like I have conversations with you, or like I'll talk to grandma. But like those kind of conversations aren't very back and forth a lot. It's more of like I'm just talking, talking, talking. She'll ask a question, talking, talking, talking. Um, but yeah, I try to be as humble, and then I also enjoy like helping people process with things, and not like not in the sense of like oh, I'm struggling with this. Help me process my grieving or help me process like, oh, my girlfriend just left me, my husband just divorced me, blah blah. But like if you're struggling like when someone comes and they're like confused or they're struggling with like understanding a concept, I enjoy being able to sit down and like talk to them and like try and help them. Like we talked about it before, where like I can articulate to people really well. I think I can. Um, so like I really enjoy doing that with people, whether they're knowledgeable or not knowledgeable. And then like I really like talking to the people who are like semi knowledgeable on things because they like get halfway there, and then they need to hear certain things in a certain order, and it'll help them process things so that they can come to a better conclusion for themselves. Um, Kind of jumping a little bit off topic because it just it won't come out of my mind, so I want to get it out. Um, on Sunday when we were at church, more towards the end of the service, I forget exactly what Pastor Tim said, but he said something, and then he was like, "Everybody take a moment," and like I think he said like, "What's one thing you would ask God or
Yeah, like when
Jesus?"
you get there, if you could ask him any
Yeah,
question,
yeah,
he was
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And then he also said, he said something about like, what is like God telling you? For me, the what the thing that popped into my mind as soon as he asked that, what is like God trying to tell you right now or whatever he said, was to live. And I thought that was very like profound and beautiful. It just kind of came out, and as soon as he said it, it hit me. But then the what would you ask when you get to heaven? I have thought about it a lot, not since then, but way back. And I came to this conclusion, and I will forever be in this position. When I get there, if God is standing there and he's like, ask me whatever you want to ask me, I will not ask anything. I will just say thank you, and I will enjoy the next few moments of being in his presence. That's it. Thank you. I love you. And then I am just humbled to be in your presence. I think it's beautiful.
It's funny, yeah, it's funny you say that because like nothing when he brought that up, like I didn't have, I couldn't think of anything that I would even ask. Um, and like even when you said that right now, like as you said it, I was thinking about, it, I was like, what would I say? And like before you even said it, my thought was like, I don't have any questions. Like I'm just
I'd just be thankful.
yeah. And I think that's like, I think that says a lot about your, I don't know, maybe your like the faiths that you have. If that's like your response to have no questions, because like the easy thought would be like, why did dad die before he got to beat my kids? But I have such like a because it was part of your plan. Like it just is. Like I don't need to know why. Like it just like yeah.
Just
It
fully
says
in
a lot to
acceptance.
not have like, I don't know. To me, it says a lot to not have any questions to ask him, or like why did this thing happen? Because I have everything in my life. I have
Who
no
are we to
questions on.
ask?
Yeah, like I have no. It's a good yeah, because like a good viewpoint, like I've always, it doesn't exactly translate to this, but I was explaining it to mom of uh, like I was just kind of talking to her, but it was with Adam and Eve. Like there was the argument I've heard where it's like, well, if like why would God put something, if He can make everything? Why would He put a true like a plant that they can't eat? And like and the good, I forgot, maybe it was on Instagram. I saw a video of it. They were like think about it this way, like if our mom, if we're 5 years old and mom puts $100 bill on the table, and then you take it as a 5-year-old and whatever, and mom's like, why would you take the money? And you go, well, if you didn't want me to take it, why would you leave it there? And you go, I'm my, this is my house. I'm mom. I can put my stuff wherever I want. God can put His stuff wherever He wants. And like, who are you to like ask Him why He put it where? And like um yeah, so it's like, yeah, why, like who are we to even ask, like to know, and to even like think that we could comprehend like that's the where I always kind of go back to too, where it's like not even like who are we to ask, like my brain is a freaking grain of sand compared to the being that can create all of this. Like I can't comprehend how a human being, a body operates. Like who am I to ask why anything? Like yeah, it's just
Yeah, I think I agree with you. Like obviously I agree with you, because I just stated how I feel about it. It speaks volumes. Because like I don't think there's anything wrong with asking God a question. Like
yeah.
if
I
you're
don't think
given
it's
the
like yeah, it's
opportunity.
anything like yeah, I'm better because I don't have. It's just I think it says a lot about your internal of like the peace you almost have with life. It says a lot. That's what I think. Like it says a lot about like because especially since I've had become like had a Christian faith, I just find like I always heard like how like God gives you peace, and I think people who aren't don't have a faith see that as like you're not there's gonna be God just makes so there's no problems in your life. Like people have this illusion that it means like you have no problems, and like that's why some people will start a Christian faith and then a problem will come up and they'll be like, oh, so must not be real because why would there's problems? It's like it's not that problems don't come up. It's just you have such a peace in it, and it's like I heard that, and like as I started getting into it, like I heard that and like didn't fully understand what that meant, but then like more like over the last couple of months, just looking back, it's like I understand that now because like I have such like a like I don't have like I don't have anxiety. Like I remember when I got into this one guy on YouTube, Bryce Crawford, who's like he's like a young kid, but he's like very educated. And
Is
he's
he
like
the blonde dude with the tattoos on the one arm?
yeah, yeah,
I love his
yeah.
story.
So he said like I've heard him in one of his videos. He was talking about it. He was like I prayed and for God to take my anxiety away. I used to have bad anxiety. He's like I haven't had an anxiety since that day. Like, and I remember hearing that like what and like looking back now, it's like I understand what it means that like God gives you such peace because like I have such like anything can happen today, and it's not saying I'm not gonna be upset in the moment or like I'm human, I have flesh, like I'm gonna be upset, but like I just have such like a peace about it that it doesn't like I don't like
You hold like a very deep acceptance for like in the moment, you know, because us as humans, we don't have any say or control over. We have such little control. It's just like, why did dad die, right? It's like we had no control or say or understanding. It's like we can be sad about it. It's I think it speaks a lot for us to be sad because you know he was a big part of our lives. He was our father. But in coming to like full acceptance, and not to say that being in acceptance of whatever's going on takes away from whatever is going on, but just taking it as it comes and moving forward and being like, all right, he died. I'm gonna grieve. I'm gonna feel my internals, and then on to the next step. I have faith that this is the road that you laid out in front of me, and you know better than I. So whatever you have chosen to put in my life, I personally see as a challenge. Everything in my life is a challenge for me is an obstacle that I need to in some way overcome and get through. It will help me as an individual, physically and spiritually grow and be a better individual. But it's holding the absolute faith and acceptance of things that come into your life. Losing a loved one, the end of a job, your career falls apart. Um, i- any example that you can come up with, just like accepting that it happened, allowing yourself to feel the emotions that come with that event, and pushing through, not pushing away, but pushing through it, um, strips you from the anxiety and the depression that comes with all of these hard and sad, challenging obstacles in your life. I think that's hard for people to do.
yeah, it's a hard like mindset to carry, but yeah, I think it's like a good like if you can just keep reminding yourself and have that mindset of like anything that comes is like everything that happens to you, good or bad, is actively shaping you for the person you have to be. It's when you like have something come and you like are resentful. It's like that mindset, or like you just like you don't grow from every
You're
situation. Like
resistant of it.
it's not saying you can't be upset or be angry or whatever in it, but you got to go through it and try to figure out. Always, no matter good or bad, look at the thing as like what aspect is this growing me? Whether it's losing a loved one, so like there's always you have to look at it from not just like this bad thing happened, I'm upset. Like you can be upset, but just like the quicker you can get to like even if you're upset, finding like instead of being just upset, finding all right, what is the lesson in this thing like that. Like having that and having the faith that everything is part of God's plans make it easier to get quickly into all right, what's the lesson? Oh, I just lost this job. What's the lesson? Maybe I needed maybe I lost my job because I've had this idea for this startup or this thing I wanted to do, but I've always put it off. And now it's God finally being like,
Here's your push.
yeah, but the person who goes, "Oh, I lost my job," and then doesn't grow and doesn't go, well, I have been putting off this thing, and I've been saying all the time, like, I don't have time to start my knitting company because my job, and then you lost your job and you're sitting, oh, I'm upset, I just lost my job. Maybe it's the door opening for you to start this thing, or this relationship you thought was perfect ended. Maybe there was an aspect of you that needed to grow, and had it not grown, the relationship wouldn't have been the thing. And like,
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little like I'm like a nerd for words and wording and stuff. Um, so like I think the shift in vocabulary that people should have within themselves when things like this happen is instead of instead of being why me or why did this happen, you should just say thank you. You need to look at it as it's a hardship. This is the challenge. Thank you for allowing me to thank you for putting me in this in this hard place so that I can grow. And then like again, like we say, feel the emotions. You know, don't stop yourself from grieving. Don't stop yourself from being angry. Don't stop yourself from being frustrated. You can even be mad at God or whatever to get through your emotions. But at the end of the day, holding the acceptance and being thankful for the experience is the only thing that will actually get you through whatever you're going through internally from losing your job or your parent dying or people lose loved ones all the time, a brother, a sister, a child, and everything has a different degree of severity. Like I think losing a parent's really hard, but I think losing a child's even harder. So like the processing speed and the processing like the timeline of the processing for each individual will be different, and some people, it's easier for some people to like fall into acceptance than other people. But I think much like what I would say to God if I ever got to meet him at the pearly gates of heaven, thank you. True. I would just say, thank you. Thank you for the experiences. Thank you for showing me where I needed to work on myself. I think it's very important. And I think the more people do it, and then going back to last episode, the more, or 2 episodes ago, the more you force yourself into that uncomfortable mental position, the better you'll feel afterwards. Your anxiety is going to start to go away. Your depression will start to go away. It'll pop up like, oh shit, I just lost my job. How am I going to pay for rent this month? Obviously, that's going to hit you real fast, and you're going to have to think about it for a little bit. But at the end of the day, it happened to you because there is something that you need to do.
yeah, there's something, and it's like, I mean, to cite it back to the Bible, that the first thing it made me think of is the book Philippians in the New Testament. It's Philippians is Paul is writing a letter to the church in Philippi. Philippians is the book, but it's the church he started in. I think it's Philippi, the place, and he's writing a letter from in jail. He's in prison, and he's writing a letter to this church that he started wherever far away. And he's saying in the letter, he's like, "Don't be upset. Like I needed this to happen." And the one line that really stuck with me is he said, he was like, I'm torn because I don't know what's better. For me personally, dying would be better because that just means I get to meet Jesus. I get to be with God. Um, but it's better for everybody else if I stay because I can help you all. I can help more people if I'm alive. So he's basically saying like, either way, don't worry about me. I'm like, I'm fine. If I die, I get to go be with this guy. I have no more pain, no more stress. But if I stay, I get to help more people. And it like that really like in the whole letter, he's like he's imprisoned for like worshiping and preaching God, and he's like no part of him is like angry or upset about being in jail. In the letter, he's literally saying like it's a good thing I'm here. Like I'm preaching to all these Roman guards. Like all these Roman guards are learning about God because I'm here. All the people, me being here because I like preach God and preach about Jesus is strengthening other people's faith. Because like prior to this, I might be messing it up a little bit, but from my knowledge, prior to Paul preaching about Jesus, he was adamantly like not believer. So him being in prison for this thing and not fighting against it, it like helps other people's faith grow stronger because it's like, why would this guy like not be arguing and trying to get out of imprisonment if he didn't actually believe and know this thing to be true? This like if like it'd be the same way like 500 or whatever it is people were killed for their belief, and it like like the soldiers were literally going door to door being like, do you believe in Jesus? And like people were like standing on that and getting killed for it. And it's like all they would have to do is just lie and be like, no. And they'd be a lie. But like to stand so firmly on it, and I forget the point I'm kind of trying to connect it to that is, but just like having that like sort of like that faith and like yeah, sort of losing the my connection to it with, but yeah, it's just like kind of keeping that mindset, even like we going back to what we are saying, keeping the mindset of like everything happening. Like I think we said in one of the first episodes, not even relating to God, but like everything happens. It's not happening to you; it's happening for you. Even if it's a bad thing, even if, and it's like kind of like other point we just made of like you might not know why. You might not know why for years. Like it sounds harsh for me to be saying to somebody who loses a parent, like this didn't happen to you; it's happening for you. You go, what benefit is there of me losing my parent or me losing my child? And I don't have an answer, but like to my core, I do know it happens for you, and just the added benefit of having the faith. It's like as hard as it is to deal with, like why did dad die before he got to meet my kids? Like my kids will never know their grandfather, and it's like I could sit here all day like this happened to me, but like I don't exactly know why, but I know it's a bigger picture. And then having that faith, you have that extra layer of like this piece of like wow, like yeah, like this is all just like yeah, like worst case, like I always used to joke way before I had any religion. It's like worst case scenario, like we all just die at the end, so none of this is gonna matter anyway. But like now I have that same mindset, but like shifted where it's like as bad as anything could be here, it's like everyone I know, everyone I love can die, but it's like this piece, like, because none of this is gonna matter, because this all just is flesh. I'm gonna get to be with everybody, and I'm gonna get to be with not just the people I love for eternity. I'm gonna be with somebody. No offense to even mom and everybody who I love the most. Somebody that I love so much more is so much better than every human being you could meet. So like having that faith is nice, and um yeah, that's kind of yeah, kind of trailed on from our point, but
Yeah, I think it's beautiful. I like beauty in watching growth and
I mean it's well, the best testament to me about it all is like because like it's hard to like you, I personally believe no human being can convert somebody or can show anybody God. We can all just kind of like point him in a direction, but only God can convert people. Which is why I think the prayer that Law would always say to me, and now we together say it for other people, is it would like praying, like the best prayer I think you could put over somebody else is just praying that God reveals himself into ways that that person can articulate. Because like I could never come to you, somebody who's a non-believer, and like I could beat my head against the wall trying to, and like you'll just make yourself angry trying to convince this person. But like the best prayer you could put to somebody is like reveal it to a way, and only that, like it would be undeniable to that person, whatever. Because everybody is different, and it's all gonna be. And I think that's such like a beautiful and powerful prayer, because it's like I can't even give you an example of what like the like going back, like the best testimony to me personally about like this being so real and powerful and God being so real is the fact that everything we just talked about for the last hour. Because 4 years ago I was like on the hard end of the other spectrum. I remember like when me and Law first got together, there was like a night we were on the phone for like 4 or 5 hours just like
you've
debating.
told us this.
Yeah, of just straight on, like I was coming from the other point of like, no, we're just sacks of flesh, we die, that's it. And it's like to me, the fact that I just like I can't even tell you like it's not like I had some magical moment or anything of just like, because some people have like these like yeah, supernatural experiences with God, and some people don't. And like I didn't have a particular one, but it's like just my core belief for honestly for like no apparent reason, just like I just believe in my heart. It's like that to me, like proves how real it is, because like I am almost in disbelief that I'm a believer. Like, and it's just like the fact that I believe, and it wasn't like, and it just happened sort of like so naturally of like, yeah, I think like just kind of like Jesus says it a lot in the book about talking about the Pharisees and stuff of like they have such hard hearts that they're not even like people get almost build their identity about this thing not being real, that they're they won't even open their mind to the possibility of it, like of something else. Like yeah, like I think a lot of people have that such like they build an identity around like this is not real. I don't believe that they even if something that would kind of make them think otherwise, they just revert to like this identity they've built in themselves. Like it's not real, so they won't even they write it off so quickly that it's like, and I mean I think it's from a lot of years of like I mean like personally I think like Catholic schools and stuff did a negative on like James for example who grew up in a Catholic school and it turned him off so hard that he's like so like the mind's not open to it to like yeah like almost wish that we could start from a clean slate, but that's just like the world we live in. But yeah, people have just like, and that's one of like going back to I think our first episode where we started kind of talking about God more on this podcast of like where like I find my purpose in being a translator that it's like I was turned off to it because religion to me was like this like oh you got to wear a suit to church and it's like this like priest and it was kind of just like and for lack of better terms it just was not cool to me and it's like being able to be okay can I articulate in a way that's cool to somebody maybe that'll open their mind and it's just sort of like yeah I just hope that more people can just kind of open up their mind to it kind of erase the whatever stigmas or whatever they have with it and just sort of like even if they like go from the viewpoint of like just open up a Bible randomly and don't even think about it as this religious thing you got to follow just open it as a book as just a story and just read it
Or go into it with curiosity. Like if you have questions and you want to understand a thing, like your like the Bible chat app,
Yeah.
just like download that, and then if you got questions like oh like XYZ, what about this, what about that, and then see what kind of comes in your direction. Going back to like you were saying, only God can convert people. You can lead a horse to water. You can say, hey horse, the river's over there, but he's not gonna go drink unless he's thirsty.
Yeah,
You
and
know.
I think that's like that's a lot of people like a lot of the negative stuff people go through, and like a lot of because like Satan is very powerful. I think a good book is Outwitting the Devil. It gives a good perspective on the devil. I think, because it's like I heard it somewhere where it's like if Satan can't like win you over one way, he'll give you everything you want. So you're so distracted that you like kind of going to the point of like if I before I like maybe I haven't gotten all the success I want in my career because got like had I gotten all this success pre building a relationship with God, I would have been so fulfilled and so like preoccupied that I would have never spent had time or spent opened up my mind. And that's why a lot of people like God is like ruthless is a bad word, but he'll like beat you down. He'll like keep hitting you with bad things in life. Like he'll break you down, and so you get to the point that it's like I have no other choice besides like I've heard it before where it's like everybody like in war like in war everybody becomes religious because it's like when it comes down to like you're beat down so low you're about to die like everybody prays to something when it like when you're looking down the barrel of a, like because like if God can't like if you're not coming around to God that's why I find a lot of people who aren't religious like they feel like all this bad stuff is happening and they kind of just keep like well just bad stuff happens to me and it's like maybe it's like God breaking you down to the point that you're not reliant on any yourself or any man-made thing like you like he's trying to get you to come to him because he beat you down it seems like a bad thing like why would he put all these bad things in my life but he wants you to have the peace that comes with having faith in him so it's like if you're not coming to it this way he's going to just keep taking things out of your life and keep giving you bad until you have nothing else but to come to him.
And then like how is anything beautiful made? By putting it through the fire. Like how are swords made? You put metal in the hottest part of the flame.
Yeah,
How is silver made?
it's literally funny you said. There's a parable. I don't know which one it is. I didn't read it. I just heard it. But but it's literally like Jesus says something about. Let me see if I can search it. But it has to do with it has to do with. Let me see while this tries to look for it. But it has to do with that about um silver. No, this isn't the one. But it has to do something with um Yeah, like about like silver, his lovely silver, and it's like the video I was watching was talking about it.
I bet the video you're about to express is the same video that I saw.
It's like about women who
Yep.
reading, yeah,
Yep.
yeah, and it talks about how it's like something about like silver, and then somebody looked into like, well, how is silver made, and it's like has to be put in extreme
Yeah,
temperatures.
it was like a group of women back in the
I could
day
probably, as
who
you
were
say,
like
yeah,
Bible studying or something, and they were talking specifically about like being broken down by God and going through all these hardships, and somebody said to them something about how like silver was made, and one of the women went to like the silversmith and said, "Hey, can I sit in and watch you?" And the way that the silversmith makes his silver is he has to put the silver into the hottest part of the flame to break off all of its impurities for it to then become what we deem as like pure silver, right? So it's like going to what you were saying before, where God breaks you down. You're put through all of these tests and challenges and hardships and like, losing loved ones and ends of careers and relationships and all these things. But that's the fire. You're constantly having to be put in the fire. Like when in medieval times when they were making swords, they would stick it in the furnace. It would get smoldering hot. They would dump it in the oil, dink it into the oil. They would dump it into the oil, and then they would pull it out and then put it back in the fire over and over and over and over again. Like katanas are made the same way. It's to reinforce the blade so that the blade is as strong as it possibly can for use. God is doing the same thing. I don't know if you're gonna find it,
I
but
was gonna,
it's so
I
funny
literally
because
just saw because I
I was
just
thinking about it
like, said it
before because I
saves.
saw it last night when I was laying in bed, and I was thinking about it while we were talking, and then you started talking about the getting beat down, and then it popped back in my head, and then you started referencing the video specifically. That's so funny.
Yeah, I can't find the video, but yeah, it was like yeah, like 'cause in the Bible reference thing about like silver and how it needs to get like because it that's where a lot of like even because it like it's not always people see it just like God's gonna use good things to prove He's real. It's like not always that case. He'll use like will use anything to show you He's real, even if it has to be some negative stuff. And kind of go back to the point of like the book I was saying, outwitting the devil, like having the perspective of the devil. I think is a good understanding because it's like like the sometimes you're being held back from certain things or not getting certain things because you're not God's keeping you from it so you can build that relationship with him. Just going back to that same point I made where it's like if you get rich before having like it's actually not God giving you the riches if you didn't come like build this relationship with him. It could be the devil because he knows if I give him all
He's
this
keeping
money
you
and stuff,
away.
it keeps you away from God because the same way God will use any tool to get to you, the devil will use. People think the devil, oh, he's just going to give me bad stuff. No, the devil will actually give you whatever you want
Yeah,
because
he
he'll give
only
you,
gives you good stuff.
because like his only goal is to keep you away from this thing that is actually peace because that's why you'll hear so much stuff about like, I got super rich and then I realized the money wasn't it and I got all the success and like somebody says there, Jim Carrey, somebody said like, I hope like somebody famous, I think an actor said like, I hope everybody gets everything they want because then they'll realize then they'll realize like it means nothing or like they get like because it is true and like I haven't even like I'm nowhere near where I want to get and I've like we we make enough to pay rent here like just get by and like I've realized that like oh yeah like as much like I want money for these other reasons but it's like like I understand now because of the peace I've gotten from God and from my faith that it's like oh yeah no amount of money would give me this peace like because this peace is unwavering regardless of when it's a bit slow month and there's no money it's like there's no like this piece is like and it's so hard to even articulate to somebody who doesn't have a faith because it's like a supernatural piece of like it's crazy
Very profound.
facts that was a
I enjoy these episodes. It took me a little while to kind of come around to like being comfortable talking about it, not between us, but just like on camera or whatever. But
I mean, I found because like I always used to like not even to make it longer, just kind of wrap it up. But like I always used to even like as like before I had a faith in it, like I would just like I always found it so like weird or like kind of like when somebody became like I'm also learning like the term like religious isn't it's not like bad, but it's not like a relation. That's why I always try to say relationship with God versus religious because a religion is a man made thing, faith in God is different. But as I've built this faith for lack of a better term, religious people would always like, all this person does is talk about God. Everything comes back to God. And it was always like, wow, like, what, like you have no other interest. But like, as I've become Christian and had a faith to God, it's like I understand it because all like, it
Well, there's a lot to talk about, and there's a lot to be thankful for, and
yeah, it's just like it's such and like I get why people are so even Lauren when we first started dating. Why it wasn't like she was trying to like force it on me at all, but like she'd always anytime good or bad would happen, she'd equate it to God and like this kind of stuff because it's like I understand how people can become that like religious stereotype of like trying to force religion on you. I fully understand why people get that way because like I stop myself from it, but like I just so badly like you'll tell me like, oh, I'm upset about losing my job. It's like I just want you to get this piece. Like it's like as if I just had like I figured out how to make $1,000,000 in a day. And it's like I just want you to like do this so bad because like you don't understand. If you just do this thing, like none of that is gonna matter. And it's like I get why people become these people trying to force religion and like, but kind of going back to the thing, like what would Jesus do? Like Jesus wouldn't be for like he would just share his thing and go about and like
that. I mean, that's kind of been my mindset with people when it comes to things, and like specifically when it comes to like religious or spiritualistic stuff. Is like I'm really good at meeting people where they're at, or I like to think I am, and I try to be as best I can, because like just like be with them, you know.
I think the best. I mean, what I've tried to do, like even in the whole journey of like realizing, like I think my purpose is to translate to people who don't do it. Is not to just actually say the words because you can go listen to a pastor or somebody say the words. It's the best way I think is just like actually living it out, living to be like Jesus, and letting your life speak for that. Whether it is like how did this person get so successful? And it's just like always when they either ask that question or look into it, make sure it points to Jesus. It's not like I'm not taking the pride of it. It's like when they look, just using like a more earthly thing. It's like if wave change gets when wave change gets huge, I like making sure when somebody goes, how did Corey like get successful because of God? Like always go back to it. You don't have to force it on them. Or it's like even on a more simple, like really simple, stupid example would be like you're playing video games with somebody and you're constantly dying and your friend's dying also, and he's getting so angry and he's like, Leland, why are you not getting angry? You're losing. We're doing bad. And it's just a simple of like, and just finding ways to just like always point it back to Jesus. Not like you'd be like, because I believe in God, but like letting your life speak for like when they sort of look into like, well, Leland's always calm, or like Leland's always like this, or this doesn't.
I just hold heavy faith.
Yeah, and it's just like kind of going back and like I see that now. Even like a good example, like not at the time, but like when Dad passed away, I remember us having a conversation, and you said like you kind of were not confused, but like how I was able to kind of get over it quicker, like in like situations like that, like letting your life speak for like oh I watched Corey start this business and it was difficult, and like I'm trying to start a business and like but he's not upset or ever getting angry or he didn't stop, like letting your life be that testimony versus having to go out and be like, do you believe in Jesus?
Yeah,
And like
yeah.
trying to preach it, but like letting your like life speak for it. Because I mean that's like obviously Jesus spoke it, but like like we live like Jesus because his life resembled it, and just letting your life resemble that. And I think that's the best. I mean, yeah, like the people who first opened my eyes were my friends who were artists and they switched. I've talked about that before, like my testimony of like the artists I knew who switched over. And it wasn't like I listened to what they said, it was just watching them change their
Watching the
lives,
transition.
and then watching like seeing how like peaceful they were and how happy they were. And like it's not like they got a bunch of money or they got successful. Like it's like some people would be like when somebody they got rich, then now they're happy. It's like no, this person's like financial status didn't change, but like they're so peaceful and they're not worried about things. And it's like, well, what did it? And like letting your life kind of be that testimony.
Yeah, dude, very impactful. I gotta pee like a motherfucker.
All right, cool. Well, I mean, I think that's a good point to wrap it up. You guys know all the stuff. Like, comment, and subscribe every week. We're back. Until next time.
Bye, guys.
Peace.